Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha TV, and a very happy Independence Day to all our viewers. We must also remember the supreme sacrifices made by all our freedom fighters, and we salute them on this channel today. You are watching The Quest. I'm Rakhee Bakshee. This show gives you deep insight into the life, career and vision of a leading personality. And that leading personality today is an MP, Lok Sabha from Mumbai. She's also Secretary Communications Wing of the Congress Party, and she is Priya Dutt. Priya Dutt, thank you so much for joining the show. But let's also remember Independence Day today and the significance. According to you, what exactly this freedom means to us?
Freedom, I think, for anyone is one of the most important things in life. Many a times when we have the freedom so free and we are so free, we take that for granted in many ways. And I can very proudly say that I live in a free country, and we should not take that for granted. And when I look at the scenario and I see what is happening, when I see that there is so much of animosity between religions and there is so much of divide on caste and religion and factors like this, these are divisive factors. These are factors which really take away our freedom. And that's where we must focus on to kind of cherish the freedom which we already have, and where so much sacrifice of our forefathers, of our brothers and our sisters have, all those who have really contributed to the freedom of this country.
Let's look at you and the beginning of Priya Dutt as such. We remember those visuals, a very young Priya Dutt tagging along with the father, Mr. Sunil Dutt, who was such a respected politician and actor and a citizen of India. So how was that period like when you were growing up, with Mr. Sunil Dutt and Nargis Dutt, of course, who was your mother?
I can very happily say that I had one of the best childhoods ever. And those were the fondest and the most beautiful memories of my life. And whatever I am today, whatever I've learned today is, I think, because of the impact of my parents and what they taught me and what I experienced with them, that I am the person I am today. And
but was it difficult, as sometimes happens, to be under the shadow of parents who are very famous in whatever careers they are in, and especially in this case an actor and politician, both of them in fact?
When I was growing up, we were never affected by their fame or how big they were. In fact, I never even realized how famous my mother was as an actor. And she never really made us feel that, because she had left acting at that time. And but wherever I used to go with her, people used to come and talk to her and mob her and stuff like this, and I just couldn't understand. And I never really comprehended that why, and who my mother really is. Okay. And I always knew my father was an actor, but again, we were not very affected because we were not too exposed to the shootings and to things like that. It was a very natural phenomenon. For us, even going to school, we were very normal. My parents used to come for our school functions. My mother used to come to meet the principal or the teachers. And if I did badly, I used to get the same kind of firing like any other child.
I remember having read somewhere that, she was in Delhi due to her Rajya Sabha career, and you were in Mumbai. So how did you miss her?
Oh, tremendously. My mother was with us through our lives. I mean, she dedicated herself for us. She continued to work on the social field. But when she became Rajya Sabha MP, that was the first time she went away from home. And that was extremely difficult for me. And I remember I was in the 8th standard, quite big actually. But I couldn't handle it, and I had to, I used to be very, very sad and upset because I was so used to having mom home when I came back from school and she wasn't there.
But she handled it well for you actually. Yeah. She used to talk to you every day.
She used to talk to me every day as soon as, she used to always tell me, which I tell my kids as well, that like, you go to school, this is my school, So I go in the morning, I'll come back in the evening, and when you come back from school, I'll give you a call.
Why did it happen that you never got interested in joining cinema as such?
I was very interested in documentary filmmaking and research and really bringing in what facts are onto cinema. But I started pretty early in my life and did a film on my mom, a documentary film on my mother. And that's when I really got to know who she really was. You know, that was
What a beautiful way to actually.
Yeah, because I was just 13 when my mom passed away, so I didn't know who she was. I knew her as my mother, but as a person and her past and what she had achieved in her life, I really wasn't untouched by that. But through this documentary, I really got to know what her life was and who she was. So that was the first film which I made. And I got very interested in docudramas, and I did a script and did a lot of research on child prostitution.
Okay.
So that entailed that I really worked for 1 year.
So the social work you later did, actually, the seeds of that were there.
Yeah.
Then.
You know, I used to tag along with my mother to Spastic Society. She was the, the founder, chairperson of Spastic Society, patron really. So I used to go with her, every time she was going to, work with the kids and, work there, I used to go with.
But then you were also working very closely with your father in terms of social work.
Yeah.
Did you somewhere notice within yourself that maybe politics was the career somewhere that could be your career?
Never. I never ever envisioned politics as a career, nor did my parents really groom me or try and, say that no, after me. My father was completely against that. My father was a kind of person who said that, you have to be in politics with merit, or if you are here, you have to contribute something. Not that because I'm here, so my kid will be here and my, grandchildren will be here. It's not like that. And so for me, he never exposed me to politics, but I worked very closely with him on all social,
occasions. Yeah.
All social occasions, and I was passionate about it. I think that was my calling when I,
So how was life with siblings, Namrata and Sanjay?
Very normal. I was the youngest and used to get bullied like any other youngest one, and loved as much. And my brother and my sister both have been extremely supportive. And she's always been, my sister especially, has always been like the mother, because like I told you, I lost my mother when I was very young. And
very protective in her.
Yeah, so she handled the whole house and she did everything at that time.
So then came social work, and then of course your first election, but we will continue to talk about that. Right now we are heading for a very short break. You're watching The Quest. We are talking to Priya Dutt. Don't go away. We'll be coming back shortly. You're watching The Quest, and we are talking to Priya Dutt. Your first election also was much talked about because you were already pregnant. So motherhood and election, how was that experience?
Oh my God, when anyone, asks me that question and I look back and I think, how did I do it? I wonder myself, because it was a very, very difficult time, and that year was just a very difficult year for me because I lost my father. I was pregnant around 4 months at that time when I lost my father, and then suddenly the whole election thing came on, where I had to decide the responsibility where I had to decide I'm going to fight this election or not. And so it was with great difficulty I made that decision, and it was more so because of the people of the constituency, because my father was a very, very loved man, and he works a lot for the people.
Truly was, yeah.
And everybody kind of looked up to me because I used to be with him and to take that mantle ahead. And I always knew that I would never be able to fill into those shoes of my father, but yes, I could always try following the path which he had left behind for me. And that's the decision I made at that time. And I remember when campaigning, and I had actually delivered my baby. I had signed my forms and I had gone to hospital. And the doctor said, please get admitted. And the next day I delivered my baby. And 5 days later I got out of hospital, and the 6th or 7th day I had to start campaigning. So it was really tough, because I had to go 2-3 hours campaign, come back, feed my child, go back again. So I had to make this whole routine, and there were days I used to cry, like, what am I doing? And will I be able to do it?
Today, when you look back, and a lot of people actually look at you as a parliamentarian, how do you feel? And this responsibility also, and I would like to ask you this also, that expectations are huge in terms of, and there are studies that are saying that young MPs have to deliver much more than expected. How would you look at that?
For me, for me, this is my job. I look at it as my work. And when people elect me into this position, they definitely have the right to expect from me, because, they've put their faith and trust in me, and I become their voice. So I have always worked with that very consciously, that I must be accessible to the people. I must fight for what is right. I must be focused on the principles I believe in without really budging from here to there. I'm not a complete political animal, I should say, but I think I can use this platform for much better good for the people, for the society, for the country, and I think that's what keeps me going.
But why is this observation that young MPs, the way they should have come up in Parliament in terms of their speeches or interventions or raising of questions, is still a little lesser than what people expect?
I think, I'll be very honest with you, and I can't speak for everyone else, I can speak for myself. I am a more hands-on kind of a person. I can speak on subjects which I believe in. So I don't speak too much in Parliament. I believe, and I'm very passionate about education, health, children, women, and I will speak on subjects like this. People don't even know how the system works within Parliament, that not everyone can get a chance to speak. When the party is small, those members speak more. When a party is large, members get fewer chances to speak. So people are not aware of that, And even the questions, it's a bank of questions where it's a kitty. So you keep putting in your questions, but not necessarily your question comes every day.
So the efforts are there, and at times it's not visible. That's what you're trying to say.
Of course, and I think that is for everyone. Like, I won't put in questions for everything. I'll again put in questions for subjects which are important to me, which I want to focus on. So I think people work in different ways, not that they're not active and they're not interested in what is happening in Parliament. But I think that's...
So on something like women that you talked about, and how do you think, of course there is an occasion that you not only should feel strongly, but there is time for action. And much depends on people, leaders like you, who should be coming ahead.
Yeah, I think there is so much of awareness where women are concerned. And there is so much of, I'm working around in the States and I see women from every level. And their awareness, their confidence, for them wanting to really make a difference and come out there and, take control. I think there is a beginning of some change. And we see that. And when we talk about, even within parties, we have reservations for women in every seat, and we have...
even in your party there is...
Yes, in all our departments. Yeah. So I think there is a change happening. More women are coming in the forefront now.
And what is happening with this whole agenda for communications in the Congress party? Yeah. Now you're the secretary and you're handling too much. So tell us more about that.
It's very interesting, and I'm very happy to have this position, because it gives me an opportunity to really move around in the States. What we are really doing is setting up communication centers in all our Congress offices in various states, which will have 3 departments: research, spokespersons, as well as social media. Of course, we cannot ignore social media in today's day and age, and so we have created these 3 departments within the communication framework. We also have a communication department now in the AICC, and we're going to replicate that in every state.
So in the coming elections, we see a more aggressive, media side of the Congress party, which maybe people thought was a little lesser than expected.
Yes. I think, the communication inflow and outflow is going to become much more. People will have more information coming out of the Congress office. And
that's a good news, and we should watch out.
Yes. And there's no need to really... look at your, just go by hearsay. Now you have the Congress office where information is available. People are there to, give you the necessary...
And it's all getting streamlined.
Everything is getting streamlined. So I think that's the process which we...
What's the experience states? Because you're traveling to states.
Excellent experience. Now that we are setting up these centers there, I think there is so much more enthusiasm, where there have been people who have been always fighting and being very vocal about what Congress party has done over the past 10 years.
But what is the social media experience? Are people getting also...
Yeah, and you'll be surprised that more than Twitter really, because Twitter is still a niche market. Facebook is huge. And I'm talking about even the smaller states. Everybody's on Facebook. And that's a great way to really communicate to people. And
so this election, do we really see more than earlier elections, more emphasis on social media becoming a tool in terms of political agendas?
You cannot ignore social media, but I cannot say that you can win an election with social media, but you cannot ignore it, because today everyone in the press also refers to social media. They pick up stories from social media. People who are in offices sitting around, they are on Twitter, youngsters are on social media and Twitter, so they get a lot of information from there. You cannot ignore it. But of course, I always believe that it's your personal touch, it's your personal connection with the people, which really makes that difference.
And that connection, of course, is very important. Right now, we are again heading for a very small break. We are talking to Priya Dutt. Don't go away. Keep watching The Quest. You're watching The Quest, and we are in conversation with Ms. Priya Dutt. A food bill is very important, and all eyes are right now on this bill. What's happening?
I wish something would happen, because as you all can see that there is complete disruption in Parliament, and there are so many important bills which are pending, and nothing has happened, unfortunately, and that really frustrates a lot of us in Parliament when we go there and we are actually seeing historic laws which are going to be made, and are not able to really even pass the first rung in Parliament due to the disruptions. That really hurts. So you
feel largely that parliamentarians actually feel frustrated also when legislations are not happening, Parliament is not functioning.
Yes.
But what is being done then?
Unfortunately, it's not only up to us. It is the opposition which has to come together and say that, listen, let's talk, let's finish the business which we are here for, and
then sort out
the things. You want to have a debate, you want to have a 1 hour debate and discussion on something, do it. After all, Parliament is a forum where you're going to discuss and debate. Every bill that is introduced in Parliament, there is a discussion on it, there is a debate on it, and then it is passed. But if you're not even allowing a bill to be introduced, you're not allowing a bill to even see the light of day, and it's there for people to see.
But you just referred in the earlier segment about this communal difference and all, and I'll come back to again Mumbai, and you were very perturbed by what happened in 1993 there. So how is that vision, understanding of the period?
That was a very, very tough. I mean, we've seen the riots, we've seen the blasts, we've seen more riots, and things like this. And I think we have to, and I'm talking about all political parties. I'm talking about regional parties. I'm talking about national parties. I think all of us have to look at India as a whole, and we have to look at India as our country.
Everybody's country.
Everybody's country. I mean, I should be proud to say that this is my country. I should not just be proud to say that Maharashtra is my state. But, and this is again, it's my observation as a lay person who has been in politics not for too long. I'm not.
Yeah.
And being in politics, these are the observations I've made, that today we've become so regionalized, we've become so...
we are missing the big picture.
We are missing the big picture. I mean, of course, we have different states so that they can be ruled better. They can be, I wouldn't say the word ruled, but I think they can be governed. Managed better. So that people get what they really want. So, of course, that is important. But after all these states are part of India. So, when we look at India, we should look at India as a whole. But today, everything has become so
narrowed
down into who's coming into your state, who's going out of your state, who's working in your state, who's taking your jobs. I think, that saddens me. I mean, I'm born and brought up in a city like Mumbai, which is a cosmopolitan city. And I think everyone who has made Mumbai have been migrants. Literally.
Yeah, I know.
Who have come into Mumbai because they want to make a career for themselves.
And this was the same Mumbai. Again, I'll come back to your family where you all grew up, Priya. And as a sister, how would you look at what happened to Sanjay? I mean, in terms of a holistic picture. Here is a sister we are talking to, and whatever happened, we all know. So how would you look at that?
See, 20 years we've gone through this whole thing. And again, we don't speak too much about it. And at the same time, there is a lot of anger, frustration on the ignorance which sometimes the press and media really brings in or
Or too much
projects
hype.
or projects, because nobody really knows what the case is. Nobody really knows what he is accused of, what he is convicted of. And it's very sad. It's very sad when you destroy a person's life only because of your TRPs and destroy a person's life only because you need to sell a story. And I think that's what hurts
Somewhere.
and bothers me. And I've chosen never to speak about it because I think we've gone through what we've gone through for the last 20 years. And I think everybody was privy to that.
Yeah.
What my family went through, what my father went through. We were called terrorists, we were called deshdrohis, we were called everything. And I think that was one of the most
Heart-wrenching kind of.
especially for my father, because I saw him at that time, and I've never seen a man who loves his country so much.
Yeah, that's paradoxical actually.
Exactly, and a man who has taught us. I mean, today when I sit back and think that why are people not nationalists? Why do people not believe in nationalism? It's what I've learned from him, because I've never seen a man who stood up and fought
So
for
does
everything.
this paradox hit you? I mean, when you're talking about your father, his legacy, and this whole family, I would say you're lucky that the kind of parents you had. But
Yes.
somewhere this, glim of sadness where Sanjay had to undergo all this.
My father used to always tell me that, and he used to always tell me about himself, that, my life has always been a struggle. I've never had it easy. And I think that does continue. So I think we've not had it easy. We have to face what we have to face. And yes, it hurts, it makes you sad and everything, but we move on. And Sanjay will too. And I have that much confidence and faith in God,
Right
in
now
ourselves.
you feel that he's kind of dealing with it with all the courage.
He is. It's not easy. People have this vision of, Sanjay Dutt is in jail, he'll be getting everything he wants, which is not true. He's just like anybody else, just like any normal
other people. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's come to you and your vision, Priya, for the future. Elections, of course, are nearby. So what's happening in your constituency? What are you planning otherwise politically?
I'm not a political planner, really.
Or for the people that you are connected with?
I work through the year and I try and do the best I can. And I know, and again, people have a lot of complaints that, Didi, इतना आती नहीं है, हमारे एरिया में नहीं आती, वहाँ एरिया नहीं जाती. So I have to keep explaining to them कि मालूम साल के 6 महीने तो मैं दिल्ली में हूँ, फिर यहाँ आती हूँ तो ये possible नहीं होता है. It's not possible.
What you're saying is very interesting. How do you handle this? They expect a lot from you there.
They do.
Then you have to be in parliament, which you try and attend.
Like when I'm in Mumbai, I'm in my office from morning to about 3 o'clock. So I have a lot of people coming and meeting me and things like that. But I have to divide my time between parliament, between my family and my constituency. So I'm like kind of spreading myself out.
Yeah, in fact, in your website, you describe yourself as so many roles that
so many roles, and so I try and give it my best. And even when it's election time, I always tell the people, I promise them nothing except my sincerity in work, my hard work, and stand for them.
But for example, Mumbai specifically, there are a lot of infrastructure problems that citizens face. So what is being done? All these potholes and all these other civic
problems. Now again,
problems.
in Mumbai, that's a very good question, because again, when you talk about awareness of people are not aware of the different departments and the corporation is run by different political party, the state is run by a different political party. So we are constantly fighting. Even as a member of parliament, we are constantly fighting for these benefits for the people of Mumbai. The state government is looking at a lot of larger infrastructure projects. You're talking about the flyovers, you're talking about the bridges, you're talking about, the large infrastructure projects. But the civic issues,
everyday issues.
Everyday issues are dealt by the BMC, which is run by another political party. So we are constantly like fighting. We are constantly, doing what we can to improve infrastructure.
And finally, as we're ending the show, Priya, what is the quest of Priya Dutt today? The quest that your journey that you're taking on?
My journey is very unplanned, And I always look at that whatever I do in my life, I do it well, I do it with sincerity and with integrity, and I intend to pursue my life that way.
Thank you so much for joining the show, and all the very best for whatever you do. And that was Priya Dutt for you. Hope you like this edition of The Quest. Thanks for watching. Bye. Namaskar.